the wisdom within. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Guidance for the Soul Live. And with this wisdom, we're going to say congratulations to all of those who have ever seen anyone get back up on the saddle again, only to fall off and then have to rise back up within a moment's notice. I want to talk to you about how we honestly portray ourselves in this world versus the reality of what we often go through when we utilize the wisdom within. We're utilizing our thoughts most often. And that's where Brenda shines her light. You see, it's the nature of what a lot of soul work is. It's about shining the light on you, correct? Or is it on others? This is where we have to go through this process of what Brenda did and what she participated in, and then what she found out. This is a common denominator for soul, is you start to rise in your vibration and you feel good and you're like, oh, I'm all that and more. And then others will say, oh, yeah, you are. But some will say to themselves, no, you're not. You're not my cup of tea. And it's hard, very hard, to be in a position of love of all and still be in this place of soul. And it can also be difficult to be a soul, as we all are, in our minds, correct? These are for those who identify as soul or are curious about soul even. You don't have to put on more mask of discovery. Guess how many people are going to start to understand what she's saying? There is no bad way to be in this world according to the highest levels of wisdom. And yet, we have those highest levels of wisdom that are telling us that it is about the love of all and that we just don't perceive it to be as such. And when we do that work, many will start to understand the strength of why her soul comes through for her when she's live. It can be hit or miss sometimes because her soul is wanting to tell you so many discrepancies in the works that people are utilizing. If you can find something that resonates with you so strong and so harmoniously, and you say, this is who I am all that and more. I am all that and more. I know how to do this work. I know how to give this guidance. And then others are saying, wait a minute, what happened? You lost out on someone else's soul. I was literally in the middle of a live session and I got the notification that someone left. Now this would be like someone, on the stage, and then someone gets up and starts to boo, or not even boo, but they just walk away. And if you only have so many people, it's like, oh, okay, this is part of the process. This is what you have to work your way through when you go through this process. Now, if you are a very private person and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do my own inner work and my own journeying, that's what it really is. And you will start to see, this feels right for me right now. This feels good for me right now. Those beginning stages of soul can be a discovery of so many realms of love and adoration, or of separation. It depends on what you're looking for in your comfort zone. When we go through the process of soul from an enlightenment or awakening, it can often be a very lonely experience because you're trying not to interfere in other people's business. You're trying not to get in the way, because what happens is you start to hear some of that come back to you. If you are actually aligned with your own soul, you will hear the love, adoration, and joy, and you're like, I feel heavenly, and I'm all that and more, and whatnot. And then you come back to earth, so to speak. And the reality of where you are versus what you create versus the heavenly realms that you experience. And we don't necessarily mean that in the sense of I've died, right? Or I've crossed over. It's more like that vibrational frequency that people are talking about. And how many people are actually in that frequency? And we want to talk about what that means. Because Brenda can experience the frequencies of her soul, which brings her many different yearnings for admiration. That can be a struggle point for many. If you feel like I need to be wise in my words, that's one thing. And yet the words of wisdom of the moment seem to be, you need to get on this train of soul that tells me I'm all that and more, and we are all doing this work together, and we're all aligned with everyone, and we're all doing whatever we do, and we don't have any grudges against anybody, and we don't betray our trust with anybody. We don't handle people differently, do we? You do, if you go through the process like I did. And that's why we're saying what we're saying. We want everyone to understand that not everyone needs to go through this process. This process is not for everybody. You can do a joyful discovery of who you are. That's what everyone wants. Brenda was in the ecstatic state of being for so long. And then she came falling down, right? It's more like the troubled victims of the world were coming to her because she was feeling it as a disconnect from who she was. I love my family. They don't like who I am when I come through with those words of wisdom that somehow say what? We needed to be more loving to each other. That was a hard thing for a lot of people to hear. Believe it or not. It's a hard place to be. Hard if you don't understand how to actually apply it or make it applicable into your journey. I'm just not there yet. It doesn't mean you don't know it. We don't like how that feels because it's not like you have to be their best friends. This is how come I can do the soul work for others that aren't even in that idea of I love you as a soul. I don't go all buddy-buddy to Vladimir Putin on the soul level, right? Now, that's the nature. It's literally a different way of being that I have to inhabit in order to do the work that I do. Now, what happens is there are others in this world who I identify with and love and cherish, who are on that spiritual journey, right? No, they are in the fight for our lives in some minds. Others are here for fighting for independence. Others are fighting for freedom. Others are fighting for justice. And when that justice warrior comes out, Brenda's like, that's the one that I love to go for. But it's done in a way that's still respectful to others. I know where I land in my belief systems, correct? Your belief systems don't have to get tossed aside. What happens is you decide, does this feel right for me? And that's where people go. Go explore your life. Others will say, I am embodied by the humanoid of soul. We're soul beings creating with the body of a human. Okay? But soul is more than humans. Okay? And so that's why Brenda took this idea of soul and said, the fact that we're utilizing soul and saying the way to do soul in business is this. And if it's more honoring of who you are as a soul, isn't that the way that you want to be? Now, this is why she was going on LinkedIn and able to give people predictive visions of business news, that are not of the what? Spiritual enlightenment business, right? It's literally being able to guide anyone to those higher levels of love of who they are, and to show people where there are issues sometimes. Now, are we going to be in this world of there's nothing wrong? Brenda knows how to go there. She has a guide that does that for her, and it drives her bananas, because she's like, I identify as someone who goes, that's got to change, or that needs to be shifted, or that needs to be massaged. Someone's ego often needs to be massaged a little bit before they can rise themselves up. And that's the nature of where we're going with a lot of these tools, is most people are in the idea of, I need money in order to make money, right? No, there are a lot of people who are going, I'm here to serve people. And we're trying to align with this idea of who do we turn to for our wisdom. And Brenda will get frustrated and depressed sometimes, because in all honesty, her process is so discovering of so many perspectives that they can come into conflict. And she's always like this with some soulmate that she's got. She's like, we're just not hitting the mark. But it's about it's like the love and the respect for each other's vision. And that's what you really want to go to. You want to go to that idea of love and respect for all of us. And if you can't do that, it's not demeaned by your soul. Your soul will say, yeah, go get him, tiger, right? That's what Brenda gets with certain ideas if she is in that process of, I'm unwinding something that needs to be brought through with a little bit more clarity or conviction. Okay? Many are here with this value system of conviction in my beliefs. And so we go forth and we see where we go. Why would we deny that vision of conviction for so many if that is indeed what we got that brought us here? Right? This is what brought us here. So many who are of those beliefs that brought us here. So let's appreciate. This is also why we don't necessarily go back and try and invalidate the past, right? No, this is another contentious issue about what do we learn from our stories. The stories of soul. These are why Brenda brings through various words of wisdom. It's not to say that you have to jump on the soul train. That's a Gen X kind of vision, isn't it? It's actually earlier too. But it truly is that idea that your own words of wisdom are going to make sense for you. You're going to start to see how you feel better. You understand more. You learn from those who've gone through the process. And Brenda was here to say, I don't want you to go through what I went through. I don't want you to experience the fear. I don't want you to experience the judgment that comes back to you when you throw it out there. And that's for those highest of highs, right? That's when you know you're dealing with systems of enlightenment, right? She's got one on the line that says there are levels of love. And others are like, it's a frequency band that we travel. And the energy that we hold, is it perceivable by all? So what do we utilize often to tell us about where people are? Especially if we don't really know them. Usually it's our own thoughts, our beliefs. And what is the problem with that? As we have seen rising up into the moment of, I'm here to change your mindset, right? People often assume they are picking up on everyone else's energy, and they are not. We do, but what you're getting from it is very much of mind, for the most part. My family has conditioned me to believe X, Y, or Z about people who look a certain way, act a certain way, portray themselves a certain way. This is why it ties into that idea of empathy. Okay? So when people say that our energy is what we put out, I could put out the most amazing words of wisdom, and they could be of the high. That stuff of the high is a total turnoff to a lot of people who are beautiful and wise. This one, as Brenda, has a hard time with that idea of, well, everyone's just doing everything that they can and whatever they do is fine and dandy. And yet she has, people telling her, I need to hurt somebody else in order for them to wake up. You see, that's what a lot of people are doing. They're sitting there laying down words of wisdom, right? Or is it those conviction? We have those spiritual warriors or religious warriors. It could be anybody, or people just doing them, soul warriors, right? Think about those who are not doing anything other than what they're doing and how they're being. And they're very strong, very wise, very considerate, very loving. But they do their work in a way that somehow doesn't align with someone's mindset, and then it gets turned into they're of low vibration. And it's not true. It's literally most people are utilizing their senses, especially ears and eyes, to make judgment calls about other people's vibration. Versus, did I take off enough of the conditioning that would allow me to interact with most people without having an issue with them? That's when you've hit the golden ticket. You have to be able to walk into a room and say, I love who I am. I honor where you are. I know we don't agree on several issues in our lives, but I can tell you right now it would be a fun place to go. See, this is what I had to deal with as well. There's a lot of these uplifting, loving messages, but others are like, it's not who I am. I need to express my beauty in various ways. And that's the difference, is that there is no one way to be in this world. And so when we start to take in information, please utilize it as a guide where you can say to yourself, I'll listen and enjoy. I'll listen and be patient. Many are going to wait for their own wisdom to come through with Brenda. But her soul is with her strong and always. And her soul is what's guiding her to those levels. And sometimes we want to hang out at a certain level that feels so good, but other people would be judging it as, oh, you're bypassing. Do you want to know how much inner journey work I did my whole life? And so when someone says, oh, I'm of positivity and love and I can feel the beauty of who I am, and I say, yes, I don't really want to vibrate in the, negativity at this moment, perhaps. Or perhaps, as Brenda does, I charge in head first into the conflicts of society. Guess why? Because I know how to handle it and not let myself get taken away into the destruction of it. Because that's what's been told to us by many, many fields of wisdom, is that society's ills are somehow beneath me. Now, what does that take? Put that one on your list of love for all of us who claim we're the soul workers, right? We're soul workers. Light workers are of the high. Do you see how the difference is there? This is why people are putting labels on other, assuming that they're somehow all that and more and have got it all figured out. We're not telling them that they're not. God forbid someone might sit there and find themselves feeling a little disconnected from who they are as soul. Why aren't people listening to me? I don't know, maybe because you're yelling and screaming at them that there's something wrong with them. And that's the difference. So it's not saying that we are not all that and more. I am all that and more, just as you are all that and more for who you are. If you want to go through the process of soul, you want to kind of adjust your vision a little bit to be a little bit more caretaking of others' feelings. That's usually what we're working with. That's usually what we're dealing with. That's usually how we adjust the vision. That's usually how we make the changes in the world. And that's why we want to honor all of you for the changes or just to live in your lives free and clear of what? Those who are trying to tell you to do something that you know in your heart you're meant to do this work. I'm meant here to be here to guide others. Others are here to make some changes. Others are here just to live free and clear of all the drama. That's the nature of where many are. Oh my gosh, there's so much drama in these fields of vision. And it's true. And that's why some of us come into who we are and we allow ourselves to love who we are. And we say, yeah, I understand you need to go make some major political movement happen. Beautiful, go do it. If I agreed to disagree with you, is that going to be a problem? That might be a problem for some people, but it's definitely not going to be a problem for a lot of people, right? Some people don't like how I do my work. Others will say it feels enchanting. It depends on the state of being that I inhabit. And right now, I have to apologize if you're hearing there's music going on somewhere. Anyways, the nature of who I am, the nature of what I want to do, and the nature of what I want to be is for every soul here to determine. And when others are saying you are this, and so you need to be this way, or you're going to have a better experience, that's for your own soul to determine. You have the ability to do it, but if you're saying, no, I'm hearing my own wisdom, and that means I can get that for others. Not necessarily. That's a whole different prospect of guidance for other people. And many are utilizing their own wisdom to then say, I can guide you. You have to have the proof. And that means that you have to sit there and say, what is it that's being told? It's being told we all have to go within and do this journey work and all of that. If you don't want to do that, just set up a soul session with me, and I'll bring through what is coming through for you. So there's also this idea that everyone who's going through the process of soul is going to just flourish and, be abounding in the beauty of who they are right away. We have those peaks and valleys of soul. And that's what we'll talk about in another vision, the peaks and valleys of soul. It doesn't mean we go down into the dumps. It can for certain souls, but by golly, we're not going to do it anymore. Not with this one. Man, it sucks when you land on your feet, right? No, I always land on my feet. We always do, but there are many souls who've lost themselves in the process, and that's what we're not going to let others do. That's Brenda's guide and her soul saying, we're not losing people. We're going to allow you to see the beauty of a soul who's gone through the process. And when you want your own wisdom, come to me and talk to me and let me see what it is that's going on, right? I'm not going to do your work for you. And when I say that, I have souls that will come to me from my family with other stuff. That's different. Those are my issues to deal with on a soul level. I also deal with societal vision. Man, most of society is feeling pretty good, believe it or not. Why? Because we're all here living, and most people love who they are. They just might not experience it as such. So with that, I want to say thank you for watching. This is a shortened version of this, but it feels good, and I want to end on a high note, right? Who gets to determine what's high or not? There are people who say they can adjust others' energy. That's something that's called, it's a higher vision of telepathy, that's part of the empath energy. And that's what this one embodied. And that's what this one knows. You do not know what you are until you go through this process. If you decide you are an empath, I want you to do the test. I want you to blindfold yourself, have someone come into a room, sit behind you, and see if you can feel a difference in who they are. That is your total ticket to paradise. It unwinds that idea that you're a victim of somebody else or their energy. And this is what we have to keep playing this through, okay? Because we want you guys to discover who you are as soul, as beauty within, no matter where you land, okay? So it's not a degrading, it's a freeing of that vision of it. And if you go to the ninth degree of soul, there is someone there that's saying they are on the ninth degree of soul, which is gonna sound the alarm for one person, but for another person it would make sense. Brenda's like, I don't even know what that is. It doesn't matter, it's for somebody else. So anyways, thank you for watching. Have an amazing, amazing day. And remember to cherish who you are. Wake up in the morning and say, I love who I am. This is going to be a great day. Take care.